Hi there, grade 12 learners, and welcome to the final push theory edition, where we are now looking at section B. So let's go and have a look at this. Let me just move this over. And this is the biggest section because this one counts for about 75 marks. Oh, too big. And there we can see, what's it, section B, 75 marks. So let's see what in 2022 came into the final in section B and what we should be looking at. So the first thing that comes up under system technologies. So you can see here system technologies, and then we have, and this is why the flashcards I've made on Gizmo is in line with these sections, right? Internet and network technologies. So I've made the flashcards and I've updated them with all of this. And then we have information management and then social implications. And I think that's the last. No, solution development. That's our 75 marks. Okay, let's go and have a look. So this particular one with system technology is usually one of the first things that comes up is a group of pictures, usually 4 or 5 pictures, somewhere around there. Let's just actually have a look at 2023 as well so that we can see these two side by side together. Okay, so 2022, 2023, what do we see? For around 8 marks. You see what they're showing us. Name of the hardware and the main function. 1 mark for each. No need for blanks, guys. Name of the hardware and the main function. So all we need to really do is like look at this. M.2. So that's a M.2 drive. Okay, we know this is our snipping tool. So you can see this is software as well. This is from 2022. And then we know these are our, what do you want to call it? Not earphones. I can't really call it that. Earpods, AirPods, whatever you want to call it. But you know, let me actually check in 2022. What they wanted from us in terms of the marking guidelines, because that's also important. So that was question 3. 2022, question 3. Let's go all the way to the top. So yeah, earphones. Okay, there we go. Wireless earbuds, earphones, anything like that. Those are some of the answers you can give. I just wanted to be 100% sure because I don't want you putting in something and saying, Mr. Hambury said this. No. We want to make sure we are doing the right thing. Okay. So there you can see that's what we've had in 2022. 2023, there we have our Braille keyboard. We've got a sound card there as well. It's like a 6-channel sound card. We've got some network cable, and we've got an external DVD-ROM, DVD writer, whichever one. You'd have to actually really look at that because I think that's the writer. But yeah, what I'm basically showing you is this, that the first section in question 3 is dealing with showing you a picture of hardware, asking you what it is and what it does. Okay, so we can see that. Let's go back to 2022. And now they start asking us, remember, we are still in system technologies, right? We are still in system technologies for question 3. So look at some of the questions that come up. They deal with the primary and secondary storage, right? Our primary storage, what is that? Our RAM. Secondary storage, our hard drive, permanent storage. A removable storage can be your USB drive. It can be your external hard drive, anything like that. Then again, do you see what they're doing? Here's more pictures, and they'll end up asking you questions on that. So what type of expansion card? There's the term expansion card. Why? When we talk about an expansion card, we're talking about a card that expands the capabilities of your PC. Now, most of your computers will just have sort of this VGA from your onboard video, but here we can see we have a number of different ports. So this expansion card, this is all related to video, which means this is a graphics card, right? That expands what it can do. That means you can hook up a monitor to that port, to that port, to that port, all of these, and then you sort it. You can have like 4 different monitors. Okay, so let's look at some of the questions. Obviously, asking us to name these, some advantages and disadvantages. Which one can deal with capturing natural handwriting? Let's actually just answer that one. I want to see and make sure on that one. So they ask us which type of input device is used to capture natural handwriting. So in other words, us using a pen of some sort. So you can say your tablet, you can say your touch screen. It doesn't have to mean that, oh, what am I plugging into this in order to capture the natural handwriting? Right, let's go further. Here's some more questions. Without restarting the PC and switching it off, state 2 steps you would need to close. This is a typical question. I've seen this before, right? If a program is not responding, if it stopped working, what can you do to force the application to close? We can use our task manager. We can press Control Alt and Delete to force it to quit. Any of those type of things. Now, you could probably give an example, because I see also in the memo they mention the force quit option from Apple. So they didn't say whether this is Windows based or Apple based, so you should be able to put in whichever one. Okay, then reasons why some users would use web-based. So web-based applications versus installed applications. When it's web-based, it means the application is running from the internet, so it needs the internet to run. The installed one means it's on your local hard drive. All right, let's go to 2023. So we've got our hardware questions. That's all fine. Here we go. This one seems to come up quite a bit. Please, people, go and check. I have a video on the specs of the PC. You want to go through that, because when they give you this, you will get a number of questions based on that. So here they talk now about the capacity of the secondary storage. Did we see that in 2022? Yes, we did. Give 2 reasons apart from failure of non-critical items why a computer would crash. What does it mean to crash? The computer crashes, it means that it's maybe switched off without you switching it off. It could mean that something has physically gone wrong and the computer has completely switched off as a result. So yeah, that is what we're talking about. Then the advantages of purchasing a laptop over a desktop. That's like grade 10 stuff. Another one here, wireless keyboard. How do you connect with it? Advantages, disadvantages. Here they talk about the range of pickup. Now, with your range of pickup, what are they talking about? How the wireless keyboard, how far you have to be, or how far you can be in order for it to work. Now, we know it's got a little dongle, so you can't go and stand at the back of the house and then decide that you want to be using the wireless keyboard. Some of them work with line of sight, which means the one device has to be in line and there must be nothing blocking it, nothing blocking the sight between the 2 devices in order for it to work. Okay, and then they talk about dual operating systems. They ask questions on HDMI. Remember, a dual operating system means that it can handle 2 different operating systems. So let's go up here. I don't think they said anything there. Okay. Let's go down. Headphone jacks. Hard drive becomes full. It becomes slow and less responsive. Identify the type of utility software. What is utility software? Software that is built into the operating system. So we could use things like saying, okay, well, to speed up the computer, we might want to do a disk cleanup because they're telling us the hard drive is full. It's becoming full. Right? How do we solve the problem? Well, we delete things that we don't need, empty the recycle bin, etc. Okay. Another one you could use here is the disk defragmentation software. So disk defragmenter, how does it organizes your files, brings all the fragments of the bits and pieces of files and folders together again. Free up space. We can use our disk scan utility to see what can be deleted, sorts out some space issues as well, and so the two should help you get your PC back on track. Okay, so that's question number 3. Question 4, now we're dealing with internet and network technologies. So here they mentioned to us, give 2 reasons for connecting computers in a network. That's fundamental stuff, guys. So the network, knowing how to define it, the advantages, disadvantages, how we use our networks, what the different services are. Yeah, they mentioned learners taking part in a dance competition were requested to email their video footage. Give 2 reasons why this might not be sensible. Well, because the video footage is too large. Video files and certain email platforms, most email platforms have a restriction in terms of the attachment size. All right, then they talk about podcasting. They're asking questions again with regards to podcasts. The physical structure or the topology, let me use the word topology. And topology is not always the physical structure, it's more of how the network works, how it transfers data. Know those topologies, please, because they can ask you on the topologies. They can give you a picture and ask you which one is it representing. Look there, 2 advantages of a network, virtual private networks, pop-ups, social engineering. Yeah, all these things come up in question 4. Let's look at 2023. What is Wi-Fi? What is a router? Do you see that? Right? In terms of a type of connection. Mobility restriction of the connection. In other words, what's a mobility disadvantage of Wi-Fi? Well, you have to be within that area. Okay? Routers in one place. Range issues as well. Then the security of networks. So please, security of networks. How do we secure the networks, especially when shopping online? You want to make sure that the site is secure, that it's using the HTTPS protocol. You want to make sure that you have verified that site as well. You don't just want to just pitch up at that particular site and just put your details in there. Yeah, you want to make sure you're going to the actual site. Sometimes you have fishing and farming, especially farming, that can take you to a different site. So you want to verify that site as well. Then guidelines for setting up passwords, problems related to hardware that may cause a customer to lose data while shopping online. Okay, so you could have the problem of power failures, power surges, maybe the hard drive crashes, maybe somebody pulls the plug out. Yeah, any of those will do. Real life application, right? Difference between a search engine and a web page. Difference between a chatbot and a virtual assistant. Now, let me just get this for you so you can get the proper answers here. And here you can see chatbots don't possess proficient language processing skills. Chatbots will not remember the conversation if it's broken. Chatbots are programmed with a set of rules and limited decision making. So please know the difference between your chatbot and your virtual digital assistant. Okay. That takes us into question number 5, information management. So I hope you're starting to see what type of questions are coming up in the last 2 years and what will most likely pop up in this year's paper as well. Question number 5, information management. We're looking now again at a scenario here and have a look at what they are now asking. They're talking about questionnaires, talking about restrictions on electronic forms. Okay, so in other words, you're starting to get some theory questions based on practical work. Yeah, the asterisk Character often appears on the label when a user completes an online form. What does that mean? Usually means that they have to, or it's a required field that they have to actually enter. Okay? Then an online survey. Can you see? Questionnaires, online surveys. This is one that comes up often. Let me just have a look at. Okay. Characteristics of quality data. There we go. The exact same question from 2022 and 2023. So what do you think is going to happen in 2024? Okay. They basically give you a scenario and then say to you, use the headings given below to explain the process that will be used to maintain the correct conditions in the tank. Okay, so let me go to 2022 so you can see how this was answered. Now, please, you obviously need to read the scenario. So here they mentioned under input, in other words, that's the detection. The information is gathered from the sensors about the oxygen levels and the temperature and sent to the microprocessor. So this is where everything's happening. It's receiving input from the sensors. Okay. Then the processing. If the temperature changes, something must happen. Okay. If the temperature is what? Greater than or less than 25 degrees Celsius, the microprocessor sends a signal to the heater. And if the oxygen level reaches a certain level, then it needs to open the oxygen valve as well. So here they've given you the criteria as well. This is where you are going to put it in the processing, and then the output is the result. The correct level of oxygen and temperature is maintained. It sounds an alarm if things are not correct. Let's look at 2023. Make sure we're doing, okay, yeah, so here we've got a travel agency. So again, input, processing, output. Using the headings given below, explain the process that the travel agency will use to confirm a booking. So with your input, information is gathered from the customer, right? You enter the customer's information. The system then checks the availability of that booking. And the output is the confirmation of the booking that is sent or viewed. So please, I've made a video on this as well so you can understand this input processing and output question that has been there for the last 2 years. All right. And I think that's it for question 5. Let's have a look here. Database questions. Okay. And yeah, they're basically just looking at a scenario in both cases and asking you some theory question based on practical work that you would have done in the real world regarding this. All right. I think question 6 is the last one. Nope. Question 7. Okay. So let's go on. Question number 6, the social implications. So now we start talking about, well, in the real world now, socially, and they usually focus on some of the dark side of computing. So what do we see? Phishing, spoofing, tips to prevent online fraud. Despite the potential risk of using computers, there are many benefits. 2 advantages of using social networks. 2 advantages of having vehicles connected to the internet. All right? 2 practical ways in which one can use technology to reduce the problem of information overload. So you need to know what information overload is. And that's really that social implications in question 6. Let's see. Internet addiction. 2 activities that users on the internet, or that could lead users on the internet to addiction. The passive and active digital footprint. Social media and fake news. Fake news is something that keeps coming up. The digital footprint as well. And there, again, this opinion, let's see, give your opinion regarding the following statement by indicating whether you agree with it or not. Give 2 reasons to substantiate your answer. And let's go further. Many companies across the world have increased. Do you see like a scenario and then in 2 cases in which technology has affected employees. In each case, explain why it had an impact, and 3D printers, or the negative implications of 3D printers as well. So you can see what you'll end up getting there. And then the last one should be the theory questions based on prac work. Yes, there we go. Solution development. So they will ask you questions in this section based on prac work. Okay? And they want a theory answer for that. So choose 2 applications from the list above and state the use and function of each of these 2 applications in a small business. Okay? Mention 1 example of metadata, the data of data. Okay? Things like your author, the date it was created, things like that. There's a screenshot of a spreadsheet. This is 2023. Which 3 formatting features were used to create the heading in B? Right, now we can see that is bold. We can see that there's text wrap or wrap text. We can also see that the alignment has been done into the center, both horizontally and vertically. So those are the kinds of questions that then come up. Here's one with a formula as well from a query. And then this one asks, what's the purpose of the square brackets and the round brackets in the formula above? And we know that the square brackets is to indicate the field name, and then our round brackets is to keep that answer separate from whatever else we want to do. So 2023, that wraps up our 75 marks. Let's go to 2022. We see here footnotes. What the learner must do to include headings in the table of contents. Here's questions on database. So can you see in both? Database questions came up. Excel questions came up. Can you see there? What do you think you're going to be getting? Right? How do you obtain the amount in cell H6? So, yeah, like I said, theory questions based on prac work. And folks, that's it for 2022 and 2023. So let me open 2024's prelim, and then we can wrap this video up. I think we've seen more or less what should come our way. And yeah, that should be of great help to all of you. So let's go down and see section B. All the way up to question 3. Do you see what it's starting with? Do you see? Do you see? Do you see? Okay. So 4 stages of the information processing cycle. What is a 2-in-1 device? Difference between a hard disk drive and a solid state drive. What is meant by pairing devices? There, metadata. We heard that already. Look at that. Hardware. And what do they want? What's the name of that piece of hardware and what's its main function? Utility software, application software. Guys, I see similar questions. Advantages and disadvantages of online applications versus installed applications. I see the same thing. Look at this, specs of the PC, right? How much RAM? Difference between the OS, long-term storage. Okay, so I see very similar questions. Internet and network technologies. How would you explain what the internet is? What is a LAN? What is the Internet of Things? Please, that definition you must know. The VPNs. What is a VPN? How is it used? There's what I said. The topologies, right? In this case, they wanted you to name 2 topologies and draw them. So be able to do that. What is a firewall? How do you secure networks? What is the purpose of the FTP protocol? Right? The difference between a podcast and a vodcast. What is an IP address? You see all those things that fall in there. And a lot of them are the same in all 3 papers. Going on to information management, surveys, questionnaires. How the data is presented in the survey or questionnaire. How could questions be improved? Okay, so you can see it's all around that. Our social implications, 3 methods of mobile device authentication. A user must first be authenticated. What does authentication mean? You know, things like capture, and that where they throw up the image and they ask you, are you a robot? And then you got to do the puzzle, like all those type of things. There again, the digital footprint. In the other paper, it was like the passive and the active one. Again, I've got videos on that. Name one software feature found in most operating systems designed to assist users with physical disabilities. We're talking about the accessibility features in the software, right, in our operating system. And then solution development, there we go, our theory questions based on prac work. There's Word, there's Excel, then there's Access. Can you see it's been in all three papers? So what do you think is coming? The exact same thing. We can see how it is structured, folks. We can see what type of questions are going to come our way. So get prepared, get ready, and do your absolute best. Last video loading for section C.